Hello, nice to have you back again. So in this lesson we're going to look at asynchronous code. So code runs synchronously normally, okay, which is it just starts at the top and works its way to the bottom. But we can pause the execution of our code or make it asynchronous in a couple of ways. So in this one we added an event listener. You can also have a set timeout like this, and it takes two arguments. So in this function you can pass two different things in, two groups of things. The first one is a function, and once you do that you can put some stuff in here, really anything you want, really. Hello. And the second argument is a timer, so you can put 10 seconds in there and it will wait for 10 seconds and then it will console log hello. That's not very long. Let's do 10,000, which is 10 seconds. Right, and then it will log hello. There's also another thing, and we're going to take a closer look at that with this diagram here. There we are. So asynchronous code there's three ways. As I described, it's an event listener, so that can wait for something to happen and respond to it, and then run the rest of your code. You've got timeouts, wait for a specific time and then do something, and then you've got promises. Promise is what do you do when a promise? You tell somebody you're going to do something, and you go away and you do it, and then you come back and you tell them that it's been done. It's a promise. You can also write this as async and await, which also works. This is basically equivalent. Okay, under the hood, async await is promises. All right, so that's the three things that we're going to look at in more closer detail, specifically the third one. So you can do a fetch call, and then you can put URL and then request parameters. So fetch as a function takes these two arguments, okay, a URL and the request parameters. All right, at the moment we don't need it actually do anything with that. We just want to provide it with a URL, and the URL we want is on this website, the one that we have showed you before, the OpenMeteor. So if you go to openmeteo.com, it's got a curl here. Do you see that? You can actually run this code, and in fact they've made this clickable. So if you click on it, then it'll show all this lovely data we have got access to. And because it's not behind an API key or anything, we can just use this API just to demonstrate what we want, to demonstrate what we can do. So let's just copy that and paste it into our fetch function. Now we don't need the $sign and we don't need the curl bit, so let's delete those. And now we have a valid fetch request except for one or two things. So fetch is an asynchronous function, so we wait for it to happen. So because fetch is going out to this API, getting the data and then sending it back to us, we need to make sure that we wait for that to happen. We can only wait for it to happen inside another function. Okay, you can't do this just in your script tag. You have to do it inside its own function. Function get where the data. Let's just call it that. We won't take any parameters. We'll just have the body, and it's going to be an async function. So this is going to tell it that you want it to wait for something to happen before it finishes the function. Okay, and it's going to do this. And because we want to actually get the data and we want to do something else with it, we're going to put it into this variable here. So once fetch this, it's going to pop it into this result here. Now, something interesting about fetch is that it's not just one asynchronous call, it's two. And we have an interesting diagram with the use of I can have cheeseburger here. So we've got a cat who wants a cheeseburger, and so he asks the server, McDonald's or whatever it is, do we have cheeseburgers? And it says yes we do. Yay, awesome, says the cat. And then a few minutes later comes the cheeseburger, and that's what's going on with your fetch request. Fetch, do I have it? Yes, you have it. Great. Okay, here it is. So we need to do this async await twice. Let me show you. So we've got the result, data equals await result JSON. And that is for the reason that you can if there's servers not available, not available, but if there's something wrong with our request, so for whatever reason, the server can say it's not okay, we don't have any cheeseburgers, and then it won't send you the data. And then at least at that point you'll be able to do something about it. Okay, and the result, as we saw here, this is a format called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. All right, that's what it stands for. JSON. It's basically a very standard format that lots of people use to send you data. You can have other things here. You can have text, but if somebody does that, they're probably quite horrible, and you should tell them, hey, I need JSON, please, because I'm a reasonable person. All right. So now the last thing we need to do in this function is return it. Data. And that the reason is that the data can now not escape this function. Otherwise, beforehand, it's only existing within this function here. But if you say to return it, then when we call this function, like so, get weather data, then now we will see that it does actually return the data. Where are you? Okay, now I need to just drop this file in here to show you. That's my mouse. Here we go. Right, my website. Yes, I want this now. Console. Okay. Why don't I have any data? Promise pending. Now, reason for that is that because this function is asynchronous, so does this need to be asynchronous? Okay. So what we actually need to do is move our event listener down from up. So it was before, it was up here, and that means that we can't use it. We need to use this. So we need to wait for this first, and then we need to wait for the DOM contents loaded, which will probably have finished as well by that point. But now we can make this an async function as well, and therefore we can here log. Yeah, we'll do that. Data. Right, now we've got another async function here. Ta-da! We have data. Look at that lovely data. You can actually open these and see that you've got loads of stuff there that you can render into your web page. How cool is that? Right. Now, if you were to just do this, result. And I've overwritten this function, so I'm going to delete that because I don't want to overwrite it. So constant result equals await, get rid of that, and then constant logable element in a text is result. Now what's going to happen now? Let's see what's going to happen now. We're going to get object. Okay, because that is what we had. It's an object of data, but it can't render it. It's too complex for the HTML parser to interpret. So what we need to do is call this result JSON. Const result equals stringify. Yeah, but except this actually is wrong. This needs to be JSON like that. And now, when you go to your page and refresh it, you got your data. How cool is that? You've got loads of data in there. So what you can do is you can result JSON dot, what's we got here? What's supposed to be latitude? Dot latitude, like that. And you've got your latitude. Now this means that we can do anything we want to with this data, doesn't it? Right, and it also means that we can modify this, and we can put in our current location, or our latitude and longitude here, and then return exactly the data we want. And that's the lesson. So that's what we're going to do next time, is we're going to use our data that we've got in an asynchronous function, and we're going to render that data to here, and we're going to also get data that is specific to us, so we can actually modify what the API will return. How cool is that? I hope that was a good lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.